for one of my grandparents and y'all here at Redland for giving me the opportunity to come and share a part of a lesson I learned myself, and I want to share it with y'all today. And if y'all would, just go ahead and turn to Exodus 32, my bad. That's where part of our lesson will be coming from today. Imagine with me. You are sitting at a fire pit, and you're with two other people. One of the people is a very cautious person, and they have a bucket of water sitting there at their disposal for them to put out the fire at your command. And the other is the one that starts the fire, and is the one that maintains the fire and keeps it going all throughout the night. After a minute, you notice that the person that's starting the fire, they get it going. After a minute, it's starting to get bigger and bigger. Now you notice it's about getting 3-4 foot, just around, right? It's not too big. You can still roast marshmallows, right? So it gets bigger and bigger after that. After a few minutes more, the person that is with you, they say, "Hey, do you want me to put the fire out?" You say, "No, not yet. Just give it a minute." You wait to see how far the person will go with this fire. After a few more minutes, it's so massive, you have to start taking steps back so that you don't burn yourself. This goes on forever, it feels like, but it's only a mere few minutes. So then you tell the person to put the fire out. The fire that you just imagined, it represents your anger. The water represents your prayers and the Bible. The cautious person is God, and He is there for when you need Him. All you have to do is go to Him in prayer. And Jeremiah 33:3 says, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and I will show you great and mighty things which you do not know of." The person in charge of the fire is Satan, and every day, we just let him add to the fire. We just let him fuel it up, until eventually, one day, we let it all out in anger. In Ephesians 4:26, it says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down upon your wrath." When we are angry, some ways people lash out in anger are murder, malice, lying, gossiping, destroying righteous relationships, or using profanity. Even God and Jesus got mad. For example, in John 2, Jesus was angry with the merchants for doing their business, by selling doves, sheep, and oxen in the place of God. By anger, He drove all of them out. He didn't do it in a sinful way. He did it in a righteous way. He didn't lash out, start hurting people. He didn't use profanity. But He did say, this is a place of God. This is to worship God. So all He was doing was restoring the temple of praise. And the way that God deals with anger is not sin, because He is perfect. He's the creator. He's the judge. He's omnipotent. He is everything. And as humans, it's our decision whether we make a good decision or a bad decision. And God can only make good decisions from that. For example, He cannot make a bad decision. God's actions in the flood, Genesis 7:16-21, show that God is the judge. And He judged that all the people except for Noah and his family were evil and unright people. In Numbers 21:4-9, God sent snakes to the children of Israel for doing evil and unright things. And in Numbers 21, verses 1-13, God would not let Moses into the land of Canaan for striking the rock instead of speaking to it. We can also learn a valuable lesson from King Saul about anger. Saul was filled with rage and jealousy over David. Saul would try to have David killed multiple times, and he would not succeed, not even once, not even come close to killing David. And David would flee each time Saul even came close, which would be found in 1 Samuel 19 through 1 Samuel 23. He would then go on to battle against David and his army in 1 Samuel 31. He goes to battle with his sons and with his army, knowing that God is on David's side. While fighting, Saul is shot with an arrow. He's dying. And he knows that he's going to die. He knows that if he does not die then, the kings are going to take him in, torture him, beat him, and question him, and then proceed to kill him after that. So by knowing this, he told his armor bearer, hey, give me the sword, I'm about to fall on it. But his armor bearer would not allow him to do that, so he falls on his sword. By doing this, he would end up dying because he was full of rage, anger, and jealousy. He went into battle because he was jealous of David. Now, I know you can't probably comprehend being so mad that you would find someone, track him down, and go to battle against them. But there's people out there that would go that length just to get back at someone. And another example is God and Moses becoming angry with the Israelites in Exodus 32. And if you would, I know y'all probably already are, turn there. I'll be reading the majority of the chapter. But I'm going to start in verse 7. And the Lord said to Moses, go get down, for your people whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf and worshipped it, and sacrificed to it, and said, this is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said to Moses, I have seen this people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. Then Moses pleaded with the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt, with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak and say, he brought them out to harm them, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath, and relent from this harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self, and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of I will give your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. So the Lord relented from the harm which he said he would do to his people. And then if you would skip with me from there to verse 19. So it was, as soon as he came near the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing. So Moses' anger became hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain. Then he took the calf which he had made, burned it in the fire, and ground it into powder, and he scattered it on the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. And Moses said to Aaron, Why did this people do to you that you have brought them so great a sin upon them? So Aaron said, do not let the anger of my Lord become hot. You know the people, they are set on evil. For they said to me, make us gods that we shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what he has become of him. And I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and this calf came out. So as you can see there, Moses and God were mad at the children of Israel for deliberately breaking the Ten Commandments. They went and they worshiped idols thinking that it was God. Which I looked up before the lesson the other day. I looked up what does the dictionary say about anger? What is the definition of anger? And the dictionary defines anger as a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Anger is an emotion that God gave each one of us, and it is our choice what we do with it. It can be either for good or for evil, which most people think it ought to be. Which, as we saw earlier, Jesus and God used anger as a good way. Jesus used anger to drive out the people in the temple, the merchants. And we all struggle with anger, but it is our choice. And the Bible commands us not to sin when we are angry. If anyone here is struggling with any of this that I've mentioned and need prayers of the church, or if you've been studying and are ready to put Christ on in baptism, would you come together as we stand and sing?